Okay, guys, welcome back. So before starting, I want to talk a little bit about your exam. Next Monday is your exam during the lecture time. For the exam, you will need a particular software. The software. There is a video in this link that basically describes the software. I am going to summarize for you the video. You will need to install in your computers a particular browser. It's like asking you to install Chrome or Safari or Mozilla. It's just another browser, a particular special browser. So, number one, you're going to need to install the browser. On Canvas, you will find the instructions about where you can download the browser. There is a version for Windows, for Mac, whatever system you're using. Step number one, you will need to download the software and install the software on your computer. 1. 2, using this browser, you are going to access Canvas. On Canvas, you are going to have your exam. Your exam is basically a quiz. It's going to be in that section. It's going to be a link in the week 4. So if you go to Canvas, you go to week 4, there is going to be a link that is going to say midterm exam, and you click there. If you try to access that link without using the special browser, you are going to receive a message, an error message. You're not going to be able to access the exam if you try to access with your browser, Safari, Explorer, Edge, whatever. A normal browser is not going to give you access to the quiz, to the exam. So you install the browser, you access Canvas, you access your exam, everything is fine. Now, which are the particular features of this browser? Why I am asking you to install this browser and use this browser? Well, basically, the browser, number one, is not going to allow you to open other links. It's not going to allow you to have different tabs. Once you use the browser and you open your exam, the exam is going to use your full screen and is not going to allow you to open other applications that use internet. So you are not going to be able to open other browsers or in the same browser to have other tabs with information. This is maybe the most important thing. Other thing is you're not going to be able to print the exam. You're not going to be able to open communication tools like Skype or Messenger or something like that. So it's supposed to limit your access to tools that you can use to, well, share information with others, basically. Second thing, the most important maybe, you need a camera, you need a webcam. Why? Because when you install the browser, something that the software is going to do is ask you for information. It's going to ask you to show your ID. It could be your agency ID, it could be your driver license, something with your picture and your name. And that information is going to be recorded. It's going to ask you to scan your room, to show me your desk or the place in which you are working. It's going to give you instructions regarding, number one, you should be alone in a room. You should not be talking with other people. No one should be with you doing the exam. So you are working in your exam alone, just like if you were doing the exam in a classroom. In your desk, because it's a closed book exam, well, obviously you should not have their notebooks or the textbook or anything, including your phone. Put your phone in a different place, calculators, and so on. You should be in a desk, in a table, that is empty. The only thing that you have there, as we mentioned before, you can have some paper, empty paper. You can have a pen maybe, and your computer working in the exam. That's it. So an empty space. Remove anything that you do not need. You cannot use any type of earphone, no music, any noise, focusing the camera in your exam. Do not make any movement that make me think that you are talking with another person, making signals or something. At the beginning, the camera, the browser, is going to ask you to scan your room, but the camera is going to remain open, recording during the full exam. So at the beginning, it's going to record your ID, it's going to record your desk, and then when you finish and the exam open, the camera is going to keep recording your face. So just like right now is your face, and the idea is that you are working, looking to the screen because you are working your exam. Maybe sometimes you go down because you are taking notes or working the paper, whatever, but you are being recorded. And this includes, obviously, the audio. So if I am doing my exam and I am speaking even with myself, that is not a good idea. Please do not talk, not with yourselves. I mean, quiet, like in the classroom. So that is the main thing regarding your exam. So I am going to ask you to install the software. And what is going to happen tomorrow, Wednesday or Thursday, is during the labs, the TAs are going to be asking you to use the software, this browser, to solve the labs. So you will need this software to access the labs. I'm not sure if both tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday, or only Thursday. The TA are going to check with you instructions, but at least for Thursday, the idea is that you are not going to be able to solve the lab if you do not have this software in your computer. The idea is obviously that you are going to be ready Monday to run your exam. So that is basically the only thing special regarding the exam. This new browser, use the browser and be aware that you need a camera. If by any reason you have a computer and your computer do not have a camera, please ask to a friend or something to borrow you one, because you will need a camera on Monday to have available for the software to open your exam. And be aware that you're going to be recorded, and not only at the beginning, but during the full period of exam, and also with the audio. Later, someone is going to be reviewing those videos, and that someone is going to be reporting me if I need to be concerned about someone academic integrity or something. So please do your best, not talking, think about in which place you're going to do your exam, hopefully your room or some place in your home that is going to be quiet for 1 hour and 15 minutes. No noise, no one is going to go in and talk with you. Think about it. The browser, I think you're going to download the software tomorrow. Basically what is going to happen is the first time that you access the lab or the exam, if you are accessing that link without this browser, what you're going to get is a page, and that page is going to show you, hey, download this software. So the first time that you access, it's going to show you this page with the link for download the software. So even if you do this in the lab tomorrow, or if you do this in the lab Thursday, any of those days, what you're going to get immediately when you access is the link for the software. I think the TAs are working on that. So I am not sure if they are going to have this ready for tomorrow, or this is going to happen Tuesday. But my goal is that this happen this week. So you are going to have the weekend to solve any issue, and even Monday to solve any issue. So by 7 p.m. Monday, you should have the software, Moreover, you should have been solved at least one lab or one testing exam, demo exam or something using the software. So it's not going to be your first time using the software for the exam, hopefully. So that is going to happen. Good? I do not know what you did in the mathematics test, so I cannot answer that, but you can tell me if this is the same thing that you did. No, you cannot access anything. During your exam, basically the browser is going to use your full screen. You cannot use anything, nothing. No Eclipse, no developer environment, no environment, the compiler online, nothing. The only thing, empty paper and a pencil. That's it. So you can watch the video. I mean, Zoom do not allow me to show you, but basically the explanation that I tell you is on the video with some cartoons. So you can copy paste the link later. I am going to publish these slides, but basically that is the summary, a browser with these features. Now, what you are going to have, as I mentioned before on Canvas, is something like this. You can go to the section quizzes, or you can go to modules, as I mentioned before, week 4, and you are going to have a link, and every time that you read a link and the link have these suffix, that means that that link in particular needs this browser. So you're going to have in the week 4 something like this, and your lab for tomorrow or the lab on Thursday is going to have something like this. And the only thing that you need to do is click there. If this is the first time, if you are using your normal browser like Safari, Edge, whatever, Chrome, the first time, click here and you're going to receive this web page with the link to download the software that you need. So there is no way that you make a mistake. If you receive this web page with the link to the software, get the software, install the software, and then come back to Canvas, same page, same link, you make a click, and now in that opportunity, you are going to have something different. This is the web page that you're going to have if you are not using the browser. So as you notice, the message is going to be, you need this browser, please download here. So do it like that. And when you enter with the browser, your page is going to be something like this, a little bit different. The blue background and a list of steps that you need to follow. And here you're going to have instructions. As I mentioned before, number 1, general instructions, something that you need to read and say, okay. Then it's going to ask you for your webcam. If you do not have a webcam, you're not going to be able to continue. So please be sure to have a webcam, and the webcam is recognized by the computer and everything is in order. Then here, you start with the process. The first step is going to be, as I mentioned before, is going to ask you to show your ID to the camera. It's going to show the ID here in some place. It's going to take a picture. So your ID is going to be stored in the system. Then it's going to give you additional information. That is basically what I described before. It's going to take a picture of you. So it's like the camera in some point is going to make click, and my face is going to be stored with my ID. And then the last thing is going to give you instructions like, please take your camera or your laptop, whatever, and show your desk. Basically, it's going to ask you for a 180 or 360 degrees show your room. When you finish, you're going to be able to check what you recorded. And please be sure to show your desk. Please be sure to show the system that you do not have any book or any calculator or any phone or any electronic device with you, because if there is something there, your video is going to be checked like suspicious, and then I am going to receive an email, and then I am going to need to review the video, and well, academic integrity. So just be sure to show that everything is fine. After that, finally, you're going to be able to start with the exam. The exam, you're going to be able to review one question at a time. So only one question is going to be on the screen. You are going to be able to move forward and backward. So don't worry, you only have one question on the screen. You can answer and then continue, or you can ignore this one and then come back at the end. You can move backward and forward, but only one question at a time. A lot of questions in your exam are going to be, this time in particular, multiple choice. I mean, think about it. If you review what we have been done so far, we use almost 1 week reviewing theory. So you can expect questions, theoretical questions. What is a compiler? What is a developer environment? What is the Java virtual machine? What is the difference between a compiler and a virtual machine? I don't know. If you notice, every week I am publishing questions or topics that I consider not the only ones, but the important ones for me at least. So it's like my notes if I were a student. So I have been posting that every week. You would like to take a look to my questions there, because who knows, any of those could be a question in your exam. Review the theory. 2 weeks we have been working with programming, so obviously there is going to be questions regarding programming. Create a class, create a method, obviously the main method, and maybe other, 1 or 2 more, and print, ask the user for values, and now the conditions with if else. That is maybe a summary of your exam. Multiple choice questions, a lot, and programming questions. Basically, if you think about it, the question and one big empty space, a text area in which you are going to be able to write like an essay, a paper, but basically what you're going to be writing there is a program without any help. So I am asking you to memorize public class, public static void, and the rules that we have been reviewing. Be prepared to write a program from scratch in the computer. So I don't think that the link is now there. As I mentioned before, you're going to have something with this suffix, one of the labs, maybe the lab 3 or the lab 4 this week. So the first time that you read something like this, that is going to be your link to download the software. According with the information that I have, it's going to be Thursday for the lab, maybe tomorrow for the lab. It depends on the TAs, but it's going to be one of those two. The lab tomorrow or the lab Thursday. And obviously the idea, the lab is going to be that the TAs are going to be there to help you with any issue that you could have installing the software or setting up the software in your system. And you're going to have one of these, one quiz or one exam, the lab, that you're going to solve using this browser. Really going to be one question or something very simple. The goal really is for you to test that the software is working. So the link is not there yet. It's going to be there tomorrow, or it's going to be there Thursday. Good, but this is the global thing. This is kind of the thing that is going to happen. The software is small, don't worry, it's not going to use a lot of resources in your computer. A couple of megabytes and you're fine. The camera is the only thing that I could ask you to check. I am sure that most of your computers have a camera. If by any reason you do not have a camera or your camera is not working, well, ask for a camera, something that you can connect with USB or something. That's it. So the TAs are going to work with you using the software in the following days. But I just wanted to give you kind of an advance of this, so you know that this is an activity that you need to do in the following days, and you're going to have the full weekend to check that everything is fine. Just to be sure, I want to insist, the exam is Monday, June 8th. That day, you do not have labs. There is no lab, but the TAs are going to be there to answer any question, last minute question that you could have regarding the topics or regarding the browser, anything that you need. The lab is going to be time for you to ask for help, but no particular activity, nothing to submit on Monday as a lab. The exam is going to open at 6 and is going to close 7:15. The exam is 1 hour. So you have 1 hour for the exam. However, think about it. You are going to need 5 minutes, 10 minutes to follow the process that I described. The process of showing your ID to the camera, recording your desktop, and so on. So in total, I am making the exam available for 75 minutes, so 1 hour and 15 minutes. Not because the exam is that time, the exam is 60 minutes, but I am adding 50 to complete our lecture hour, but also to give you 15 minutes to complete the process that you need to follow in order to access the exam. So as far as you can complete the process in 15 minutes, you are good. You have the 60 minutes that you need to complete your exam. The exam is small. Basically, if you think about 10 questions, you're going to have 7 that are related to multiple choice or theoretical questions, multiple choice question, and so on. And 2 are open questions for programming. Not exactly those numbers, but more or less, just to give you an idea. So if you think about 10, it's like 2 are programming. 20% of your exam, we talk about percentages, 20% of your exam is programming from scratch. The other things are questions about theory and also about keywords in the language, rules in the language, and so on. Again, we're going to do a review Tuesday, so don't worry about the questions. I am going to talk more about it. So the only thing, please, be sure that your computer is working, you have electricity, your battery is charged, whatever you need to check. This time, this day. I am going to talk more about how many questions and the particular examples of the type of questions during the review Tuesday. So don't worry, I am going to talk about it. Yes, if you have any question about the quizzes, well, we haven't done any quiz yet. We have done labs. So any question that you have about the labs, contact the TAs. I mean, basically the idea is that you do a lab and you have time to talk with the TAs during the lab time. And if for any reason you are not able to talk with them today, well, you can contact them tomorrow or you can send an email or whatever. So any question that you have regarding the lab, my recommendation is step number 1, talk with the TAs, because they are the ones creating the labs, grading the labs. So any question about the grades or any question about the content, talk with them. And if they are not able to solve your question, then you can send an email to me and we can talk about it. Good? Well, the question that I am reading in the chat is, any of the 2 that are floats are going to make the division to be, the result to be a float also, but I am not sure what is the question of the problem there. Talk with the TAs and you can review anything. Yes, the review is Tuesday. So we have lecture today. I need to finish with if else, talk more about if else. Tomorrow I want to talk about switch, and then I need to talk a little bit about the question mark operator and the review Tuesday. That is our plan for this week. Good. So closed book, you cannot use anything, no phone, no internet, any other web page should not be used, please. and obviously no compiler. The idea is that you show me that you can do programming without your compiler. The most important thing, do not use your phone. If the video make the reviewers think that you are using your phone to browse some web page or even to open a compiler online and to solve the exam, we are going to be having a conversation one-to-one regarding academic integrity. Please avoid that. Do not make me put a 0 as a grade because academic integrity concerns. So no phones, no electronic device, scan your desktop, and remember, you should allow your camera to record you all the time during the exam. So you cannot block the camera like this and just continue the exam. You should have the camera open and the camera should be recording you and you should be working in the exam. Just be careful with that. Splash paper is allowed. I received some questions about it. I mentioned this several times. You can use paper, use please empty paper. Do not use recycled paper. Do not use any paper that make the reviewer think that you are, that you have some notes there or that you are copying things. So empty paper, show the paper to the camera, be sure to show the paper both sides so the reviewer knows that the paper that you're using is empty, nothing there printed or right. Good? Okay, so moving forward to the if-else, continue with the class. Yesterday I introduced this idea of the control structures, in particular, the conditional statement. In particular, we mentioned the if condition and the if-else condition. The structure for that is this one. And I am sure that you copy paste the program that I mentioned yesterday, and I am sure that you review the if-else and play with this idea of printing A, B, C, according with a number that you ask from the user. So hopefully what the if-else is able to do is something that you review and is clear. Now, only one thing that I need to review with you today regarding the if and else. Yesterday, I told you that the structure for the if-else is something like this. You create two paths. And then we move forward and I mentioned, well, you know what? You can put if-else statement one inside of the other. So you can create this nested if statement. And we review one example. And with that example, this one in particular, we play. Only one thing that I need to mention today. So far, I asked you to follow the next rule. I asked you that every single time that you create an if condition, you put the if, the keyword. You put a condition inside of parentheses. And then you open curly bracket and you close curly bracket. And I asked you to follow the same rule for the else part. I asked you to write the keyword else, open curly bracket, and close curly bracket. This one in red, open and close, open, close. This one here in blue, open, close, open, close. So I give you the rule that after the if and the condition, open and close in curly brackets, the instructions inside. After the else, open and close in curly brackets, the instructions inside. This is an easy rule. Now, there is one exception to this rule, and that is what I want to discuss today. You need the curly brackets mandatory only if you want to have more than one instruction inside. More than one instruction. If you only have one instruction inside of the brackets, only one, and yesterday we reviewed several examples with only one instruction inside. When you only have one instruction inside, you can delete the brackets. What are you talking about? Yesterday, we reviewed this example about if n percentage 2 equals 0, print something, print something else, close. We reviewed this example yesterday, so, or something similar. If I ask you in the exam, what is going to be printed after running this program? Is it going to be hello or is it going to be bye? This one. Hello, why? You can divide it 30, divide it 2, 15, and then 0. Yeah, okay. This one is going to print hello, right? Just think about your exam. Option A, hello. Option B, bye. Option C, both. Option D, none. And you have only one correct answer. Good. So in this particular example, my examples, I always put the curly brackets, always. Why? Because in that way, if suddenly I decide to add more instructions in the if or more instruction in the else, nothing happened. However, something that you are going to learn with experience is for this particular case, you can apply the rule that I just mentioned. If you only have one line, only one line inside of the if, or only one line inside of the else, then you can delete the curly brackets. So in particular for this program, something that you can do is you can delete this curly bracket here. You can delete this one, and this one. Because you only have one line. So that is a very special rule, is if you have only one line inside, the curly brackets are optional. You can put them there, like in the example that we did yesterday, and I am sure that you test those examples. Nothing happened. One line with the curly brackets, nothing happened. But you can also remove those curly brackets if you only have one line, and then your program could be this program, something like this. That's it. Now, you could be thinking, like, what is the best option? The best option, the one which you feel more comfortable. If you're beginners, if you are just starting programming, if you do not have previous experience programming, my advice to you, use the curly brackets always. Don't worry, put the curly brackets. If that makes you feel comfortable, confident, use the curly brackets. You do not have any need for deleting the curly brackets. With experience, when you start doing programs that are bigger, you're going to notice that we always want to write the less amount of characters possible, right? So why I am mentioning this? Well, you remember that yesterday we worked with this idea of, for instance, I have the else. By the way, you can delete the curly bracket for the if, like in this case, but I can add curly bracket for the else. Two different decisions. You can have them in one, but not in the other. They are independent. So in this case, I am going to add the curly brackets for the else because I am going to put here something like what we did yesterday. Yesterday, we put another condition here. Remember, for the grades. I am just writing instructions, nothing in particular. Now, is it visible now? Good, okay, yes. This week, I am using a different computer than the computer that I usually use. So you are going to notice that this week videos could be not exactly in the same quality or exactly in the same format as the previous ones. I hope to be back to the computer that I was using for the previous ones. You are going to notice that the video from yesterday have a big black rectangle at the right size. So maybe for some slides, you're not going to be able to show in the video the slides. Apologize for that. But I just published the slides on the PowerPoint. So if you need, if just in case that some of the slides is not clear in the video yesterday, check the slides, the PDF that is published on Canvas. Sorry about it. Well, going back here. If I apply the rule that I described for the curly brackets, what I can notice here is really like I did yesterday. I put the curly bracket for everything because that helped me to be organized. But in a program, you can notice that the only thing that I have inside of the else is really one instruction, one if else, right? All this is just one instruction. So according with the rule, something that I could do is delete this bracket and delete this bracket. Make sense? It's only one instruction, and if you have only one, you can delete the brackets. Again, it's not mandatory, but this is possible. So I can delete the brackets. Now, something that is very, very common, and you are going to notice this in the books, and it's going to answer one of your questions, is the following. If I delete the brackets because there is only one instruction inside, my program is going to look like the following. Right? Now, something that the people usually do is I have the else here, and in the next line, I have this if. So instead of having two lines there, the people usually is going to write something like this. Else if. Someone asked me yesterday, and I think today, if there is some instruction like else if. In other languages, you have the instruction else if together. In Java, you do not have that instruction, but what you can do when you only have one if inside of an else, for instance, is put these two here together, and this is the closest thing that you have to an else if. However, is two words. Is the word else, space, enter, whatever you want, but space usually is good enough, and then if. And what you have is this: if this happens, I am going to do this. Else, if this happens, I am going to do this. And so on. Again, this is possible only when you only have one instruction inside. This is only possible because we delete the curly bracket that used to be there. Remember, in programming, the enters, the tabs, even the white spaces, they are there only for us to be able to easily read the program. But the computer is going to delete all of that. So when you only have one instruction inside, you can delete the curly brackets. When you delete the curly brackets, then you can reorganize your program like I did right now. So going back to the PowerPoint, this is what we reviewed yesterday. This is the example that I solved with you yesterday. And it looks like this, right? I mean, the if in black, the if in red, and the if in blue, and one inside of the other, and I have all these open, open, close, open, and so on, just with the rules that I used yesterday. What happened if in this example, I review and I check, you know what, inside of the else in black, the only thing that I have is the if in red. Therefore, I could delete this bracket and I could delete this bracket, right? And also, there is no need for this if red to be in the second line. I could move this if red here, just together with the else. And I can do exactly the same with the if in red. This is only one instruction inside. I could delete these brackets. There is always one if inside, that is only one instruction. I can delete these brackets because there is only one system inside, these brackets because there is only one print inside, and then I can put this if in blue together with this else in red in the same way that I did with the if red and the else black, right? Nothing is changing in the program. The only thing that is changing is the way that I organize my document. And what I am trying to tell you is this program, the one that I showed you yesterday, is used exactly the same that this program. Really? Mm-hmm. If, else if, two instructions, but I put them together. Else if, two instructions, I put them together. The else. Code one. All in one paragraph. Only one label here. And this one is exactly the same than this one. Both are the same. These go up, delete the brackets. These go up, delete the brackets. This is alone without the brackets. And then we move everything justified to the left. This program and this program, the same. Why they look different? Because I follow this extra rule that the curly brackets are not mandatory. And because I put together else and if, just because I like those two together, else if. Because in other languages, they are one instruction. Here they are two instructions, but I can put them together in the same line. The only thing that is different is how they look on the screen. The only thing that is different is the way that I am organizing my document. But in terms of programming, it's exactly the same set of instructions. And which one can we use? The one that you like. Both are fine because they both look the same. If you ask me, and this is just my personal preference, this one looks like easy to read. So personally, I prefer this one just because having only one level, tap, 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 looks like less complex than this one in which I have tap, 2 taps, 3 taps. This one is better for me as a user, as a reader, to read. But maybe this one is easier for you as a programmer to create, because in this one, moreover, if you are new in the programming thing, this one helps you as a writer to be sure that you have everything that you need, that you are doing exactly what you want to do, that you have inside of something what should be inside. So from the point of view of the programmer, the people that is writing, this one could be easier. From the point of view of the reader, I prefer this one. But it's your choice. Whatever option you want to use, the only thing here is curly brackets. If you have only one instruction inside, you can delete the curly brackets. You want to forget that rule. You want to use always curly brackets, go ahead, use curly brackets always, no problem. Make sense? Hopefully, yes. Now, more examples, right? More examples. For the following examples, I am going to use the logical operators just because we haven't worked with them, right? So it's a good opportunity to start working with them. The only thing that I want to mention again, logic operators, they are going to give you as a result true or false, always. Now, quickly, operator not. If your value was true, the not of that value is going to be false. If your value was false, the not of that value is going to be true. Use as a table. The and the or. We mentioned this before, but I give you the slide with the information that we mentioned in one of the lectures. If you have two values and you use the operator and, remember, this one is and, the only way for the result to be true is if the two things before are true. That is the only way. Any other thing is going to be false. If you are using or, the only way that the result is going to be false is if your two inputs are false. Any other case is going to be true. Maybe that is the way that I would recommend you to remember this. True, false, and or. Why this is important? Because we're going to use these guys together with the if-else conditions. For instance, you know that you need to put this in the main or in a method, right? So I am showing you just the paragraphs that have the if involved. Do we understand the red part? What if I give you this in your exam and I told you, can you complete this program? So this program compile and run? Yeah, that is correct. What you put in the chat is basically the meaning of the condition in red. Now, if I ask you to complete my program, hopefully we agree But in order for this program to be able to compile, you need a variable total that should be numeric, right? So let's play with integer, and why not? 30. Let's make another variable int, maybe max, 20. And what do you think about found? What is that? Can we read that this is a variable name? And if that one is a variable name, what is the data type for that variable? It's an integer? Boolean. How do we know that it's Boolean? Well, I am using this operator, right? And it's a logic operator. And remember, the logic operators give you as a result true or false, but also the only values that you can use with the logic operators are true and false. Therefore, if I am using a logic operator with a variable found, the only possible values for that variable is true or false. Therefore, that one should be a Boolean variable, or the program is suggesting me to use a Boolean there. So logic operator, Boolean variable, yes. So what about now? If I ask you in the exam, give me what I need to make this to compile. I am talking about the paragraph, right? It's not like you need to put the class or the method unless we ask you for that, but that is not going to be the case. Now, here, if I give you this program and I ask you, the condition is true or false, or moreover, that processing string is going to be printed or not, what do? You need to evaluate the expression in red, right? And what do? Which is the first operator that we run? We have this one, we have the plus, we have the and, we have the not, we have 4 operators. Which is the first one that we do? The relational minus, lower than, the plus, arithmetic, the and, the not, the plus. Remember, the first one to run are going to be this arithmetic. And the only arithmetic that I have is the plus, so that one is going to be the first one. So the first thing that I'm going to do is max plus 5. And in that moment, this one is 25, right? 20 plus 5, 25. Which is the next operator that I am going to run? The relational, because relational operators have a highest precedence than the logic. The logic are the last ones. Okay, so minus. What I am going to evaluate is total. Total is 30 and is lower than 25. It's a relational operator. It's going to give me as a result true or false. And in this case, the result is going to be false, right? Because 30 lower than 25 and is not false. That is not true. So false. So all of this you can forget, because the result of all of that is use this false, right? You just reduce all of this, whatever was there, and that is false. Next one. What are we going to do? The and or the not. Those are the last 2 operators. Well, here, if we talk about operators, the logic operators, the first one that you're going to do, the one that have the highest precedence in the logic operators is not. So yes, the next one that you're going to do is that one. Always, the not is the highest precedence inside of the logic. So not found. What is the value for found? What is the value of that variable according with what I did before? Do you remember? How do you know that the initial value for found is false? Well, because we mentioned that if you have a variable and you do not put an initial value, the initial value for the integers is 0. For the float, 0.0. For the boolean, it's false. What happened with not found? What is the result of not false? According with what we reviewed before, is true. So the result of all of this is true. The last one, we have this AND operation. False and true, right? That is what I am doing, false and true. And the result of false and true is going to be false. Remember, the only possibility with AND is true and true, true. Any other combination is false. In this case, this false, the result is going to be false. In fact, if you think about it, if you're doing your exam, when you read this, from the moment that you have this false, automatically the final result is going to be false. There is no way that the final result is true just because you have one of the expressions false. So you do not need to do or to solve this part, but whatever. False and true, false. The final result of everything that is inside of the if is going to be all of this at the end result in false. So this string is going to be printed or not? The question in the exam, what is printed by this program with the values that I put before? And option A, processing. Option B, nothing. Option C, I do not know. Nothing, right? Exactly. So those are the kind of questions that you're going to have in your exam, for instance. In this case, the question was, yes, about the if condition, but mostly about your knowledge of the operators. So if you ask me, one of the things that could be a good idea is practice with the operators. For this exam, maybe something like this. For the next exam, the conditions, these things, are going to be a little bit more complicated. But again, for this exam, at least something like this, you should be able to solve, to decide if it's true or false, if the condition is going to be executed or not, the instruction inside. Makes sense? The main reason, because you're going to use logic operators and relational operators in programs, most of the time, is for the conditions of the if, else, and the loops. And we need to review loops later. But inside of the if, else, you're going to have a lot of relational operators and also logic operators. Well, the only way for this found to be true is before it was true. I mean, in the previous example, when I do Boolean found, just like this, found was false, but when you do the not, this part was true. So this part was true, good. The part that is false is this one here. Now, if I change the values and I make, for instance, total equal 5, and I make something like max equal 10, what do you think? It's going to print this or not? Total is 5. Max is 10. 10 plus 5, 15. You are going to do this 5 lower than 15, yes or no? It's going to be true, right? So this is true. Found is false. Not false is true. Can you agree with me that with these variables and with those values, the program is going to print processing on the screen? So basically, printing, processing or not is going to happen or not depending on the values of the variables. These values make the print to work and print the text, but the values that I showed you before make the condition false, and therefore in the values that I showed you before, the program do not print the message. Good? Hopefully, yes. This is on the video, so my recommendation is please copy paste the code, this one and the previous one, and be sure to prove that your computer print this or not print this according with what you expect to happen. Good. Another example, more examples. Question in your exam. This program is going to print well done or is going to print Houston, we have a problem? I agree with the chat. Good. So just to follow up, is like you notice that we have relational operator, logic operator, relational operator, relational, logic, relational. The thing that I need to do is to find my operators, because the first thing that I am going to do is to check the condition, whether they are true or false. And then if you notice here, I am using this idea of else and if together. I do not have these curly brackets, but remember, if you put a curly bracket here and you put a curly bracket here, everything works. Let me. So you can put the curly bracket there. Now, remember, I am using the curly brackets and I am adding this enter and tabs and put everything nice. But if I put the curly bracket just like I did right now on the screen, like this curly bracket in the middle of else if, and this one after the semicolon, your program works. The compiler don't care about the spaces. The only reason to make things look nice is for you, the readers, not for the computer. So, whatever. What happened with this program? Something that you're going to do in your exam, in every single exam, not only the next one Monday, but the final exam you're going to be doing the same, is showing me that you understand a program. So in this case, which one is going to happen first? The relational operator. So what is going to happen first? Exam grade, 90. 90 greater than 85. True. Now, assignment grade, 80. 80 is greater than 85. False. What is going to happen with true and false? False, right? All of this is false. What happened when the condition of this if is false? This is not going to happen, but you go and execute the else, right? Condition false, you go to the else. But in the else, you found another if. So you cannot just go and print the system, this print here, because that one is the second instruction. That instruction is inside of this if. You need to review the condition there. The condition here, quiz grade, 85. 85, lower than 70. Assignment grade 80, lower than 85. 85 lower than 70, false. 80 lower than 85, true. False or true. What is the result of false or true? True. Good. Because this condition is true, you run this print and therefore your program print, Houston, we have a problem. this is crazy. You are evaluating one condition with a big expression, with lower than, greater than, and or, and then you move to another part in the program in which you need to evaluate another expression with lower than, greater than, and or, and all of that just to decide if you're going to print or not one line. And you're going to do that in your exam because I need you to show me that you understand what is happening here, not only with the if else, but also with the operators. Which operation happened first? What is the result of a particular operation, or and? So this is what is going to be printed. And the question in your exam is just like that. What is going to be printed? But in order to answer, well, you notice what do you need to do and maybe why you need paper and a pencil. Clear, hopefully. Same recommendation, copy paste this program and maybe add the curly brackets, delete the curly brackets, see what happened, play with this. Be confident reading or evaluating this kind of programs. Another example, and this is the first time that I show you one full example because I want you to tell me everything here is clear. You know everything what is happening inside of this program. Yes, I know. The only thing that I need to explain with detail is what is the meaning of public and what is the meaning of static. There is still something that I need to do. It's coming next week. But so far, if you ignore or use, believe me that you need public and static, any other thing there makes sense? Use a lowercase there. How many classes? How many methods? Do I have global variables or only local variables? N1 is global or local? And hopefully you are able to answer those questions. I mean, right now, I am hoping that you are answering this, not in the chat, but at least for yourself. Like, okay, we know that we have only local variables or only global variables. I am still waiting for your confirmation, locals or globals. I know that we have only one method, one class. You know that you can copy paste this and now this is going to compile, everything is there. Agree with that, thank you. No globals, only locals because they are inside of the method. And your variables are double. What is the initial value for your variable largest number? 0, because I do not use the equal, so that one is 0. The others have initial values, negative, positive, negative, use randomly. And I have this if else. Did you notice here? I put the closing curly bracket in one line and the else in the other line. There is no problem. I mean, again, the enters are for you, the reader. Usually you're going to find these two in only one line. That means closing, else, opening. Used to save one line, depending of the book, depending of the code, the author. But again, there are use spaces or enters. The compiler don't care about them. They are for you. So N1, no, maybe I put this too close, but this is the main method here. So basically I have the class and I have the main method and the main method is going to close here. So I have the class, the main method and everything inside. So all my variables are inside of the main method, therefore all my variables are local. The global one should be outside of any method. So no globals, only the locals. Good. Good. So what is going to be printed on the screen after running this program? That is my question for you. I think the text can help you to answer, right? It's like, but the important thing is, can you follow the execution? Can you follow, like, just imagine, I mean, obviously I put here the largest number is, and I am printing which is the largest number to make sense in the program. But for your exam, something that I usually do is, what if this one print hello, and this one print by, and this one print full, and this one print bar, whatever, some text. And I give you the program, I tell you what is going to be printed in this program. Option A, hello, option B, by, option C, full, option D, bar, option E, nothing. Those are the kind of questions that you can expect in your exam. And maybe do not make sense. I mean, why do you put these strings there? Well, the only thing that I want to know is that you know which is the line that is going to be executed according with the values that you have, that you know what is happening in the program. So maybe this is something that you can check after the lecture is, if I put those strings, which one is the one that is printed? Because you notice that the biggest one is N2, so hopefully you agree that you're printing N2, so probably that. But again, follow the condition, the if else. Which one is the one that is running? How are you moving toward this set of if else? Check that. That is one thing that you can do in preparation for your exam. With another example before I run out of time. This one. Do we understand what is happening here in the condition? Did you notice? Only one instruction inside of the if, only one instruction inside of the else. I am not using the curly brackets. But my invitation for you, put the curly brackets and see what happens. Nothing. I mean, with curly brackets, without curly brackets, it's going to work. Now, the condition. I have the class, again, only the main. Again, inside of the main, only one variable. In 2004 is going to be printing this, or is going to be printing this. And when in the question in the chat, indentation is not required. Again, indentation is something that you use to facilitate someone else to read your program. But you can write your program in one big line without any enter, without any tab, and the computer is fine with that. Indentation is not mandatory. I mean, it's a good practice because you are helping me, you're helping the TA, you're helping your friends. Whoever is going to read your program, you're helping us to understand your program. But for the computer, for the compiler, indentation is not mandatory. The computer ignores every single enter, tab, or white space. So indentation, mandatory. For submitting your homework, yes, I ask you to use indentation. But for your compiler, for your computer, it is not mandatory. So you are telling me that this one is going to be printed. Therefore, you are telling me that this condition is going to be true. I mean, the final result. Can you tell me which of the operators is going to be the first one to be evaluated? So the first thing that is going to happen here, and you notice that I am using parentheses. Here, you notice that the first parenthesis is because the if condition go inside of parentheses. But then I have this parenthesis there and close here, and those parentheses are asking me to do that thing, right? So I have percentage, and I am going to compare that with 0. So this is the first thing that I am going to do. Well, this number 1, and then this number 2, and this is going to create a result true or false. So this one is going to be 0. Yes or no? True or false for this part? Okay, agree with you. Okay. So this part is false. Then I have this or. So basically I have this false for all of these, or, and I have more things to do. Next thing to do, if you notice, I have these parentheses here and close here. So I need to do all of that part. This all apply to all the things that follow. And the things that follow is the and of something here and something here. So if you read the parentheses, the first thing that you need to do is to solve this part, and then you need to solve this part, and then you need to do the and, just because the parentheses. And at the end, whatever is the result of the and is the one that you are going to compare with the or and the false that you already have, right? So be careful with those parentheses. Here, so now I have this 4, percentage 4, equal 0. That is the next one that I need to solve, true or false. Okay, I believe true. So I have this one true. Next one, I have this 2004, percentage 100. And notice that here the operator is different. So year percentage 100 is equal to 0 or is different from 0. The question here is different from 0. Is different from 0, yes or no? Be careful. It's asking for different. Because it's asking for different, this guy is going to be true. Again, this is different, this is equal. So true and true. That is going to be true, right? According with our table before. And then this is an or. And the only thing that we need to check is false, false is going to give us false. But because we have this true, false, or true, the final result for the full condition is true. Therefore, according with this rule, yes, we are going to print this because 2004 is added there. So a small program to check if one particular year have February 29 or not. The important thing here is the condition, the use of parentheses with or and relational operators, and even the arithmetic operator percentage. So again, copy paste this program and be sure that you are proficient understanding what is happening, because several questions in your exam, you can expect, not several, but a couple of questions like this program, and tell me what is happening. Tell me what is the result. Tell me what is going to be printed on the screen. So check this example. What we are reviewing, textbook, second edition, those sections. So please, if you need to take a look in the textbook, check those sections. Any questions so far? So which operator? Okay, that is a very good question. Let me tell you this. Help me. -5, 5 plus 5, 5, multiplication, 5. Which operator have the highest precedence? Multiplication, addition, or the minus that you put before an integer number? Highest precedence. Multiplication have higher precedence than addition. But the minus that you put before a number, the name is unary minus, have the highest. Division and percentage have the same precedence as multiplication. They are below the minus. And this minus that have the same precedence as the addition is the subtraction. Can we agree that this guy, subtraction, need two operands, is different than this guy, the minus at the beginning of one number, the minus unary, the guy that make a number negative. So this is the precedence for the arithmetic operators. Hopefully we agree. The match for the logic. The minus unary is the equivalent or the analogy for the not. Do you remember that I mentioned the not is the highest precedence in the logic operators, just like the minus unary have a highest precedence in the arithmetic. Well, yes, I know the parentheses are going to have a highest precedence than the minus unary, but that is a different story. Here, this one is the highest between the logic. Now, talking about the and the or. The and is the one that is at the level of multiplication. And the or is the one that is at the level of addition. So, answering to the question, if you have and or together, highest precedence is going to be for the and, lowest precedence is going to be for the or. Okay, something about the labs, I don't know. I believe in the answer of the PA. The minus before a number is going to have the highest precedence. Think about this, minus x times 5, y equal to that, and int x equal 3. What do you do first? Highest precedence, this, minus 3. Because the first thing that you do is negative x, move to negative the value in x. And then you multiply that times 5, something like that. In this case, yes, I mean, I put just a very short expression, but think about something more complicated. Something like the minus and x plus 2 times something. I mean, when the minus is not for 1x, but for something bigger. So the only thing is, please remember that this guy is going to be the first one to be applied. So all this is going to be done and it's going to be negative because you can, before you do the multiplication. That is the only thing. Good? So any questions so far? Hopefully not. As I mentioned before, guys, please copy, paste the program, play with the programs, the one that I showed you today, and be sure that you understand everything. And if you have any question, if something do not compile or whatever, send me an email to me or to the PA, or you can ask the question during the lab, whatever you want. Good? For the labs, I am reading some question in the chat regarding the lab 3.3. Send an email to the PA. Good? It's going to be another question in the chat, question about the precedence. Yes, some question about precedence, but mostly the thing that we did today. I am going to give you an expression, maybe inside of an if condition, and what I am going to ask you is to solve the condition. So if you do not remember the precedents, or if you do not apply the precedents, probably your answer is going to be wrong. So review the precedences. You are going to need to know which is the one that have higher precedence or lower precedence. Please review that. Good? Any other question? Okay, guys. See you tomorrow. Thank you.